Welcome, welcome to all our guests tonight. It's so nice to see all of you here. And what a beautiful display we have. Jane and Noll and her daughter-in-law, Kathy, have just outdone themselves. We want to make sure that you notice that our president, Bob Ackla's baby quilt is in the back there. It's rumors going around that it's over 100 years old. Jane and Kathy Noll of Elma is our special guest tonight, and we truly appreciate the time that they have taken to share with us all of their beautiful quilts. And we will be linking the past with the present. Jane has been president of the Elma Historical Society for 6 years and a member of the, and in charge, they tell her she has free reign of the quilt show for the past 15 years. And I know this quilt show is a very successful event for the Historical Society in Elma because we sell the raffle tickets at the store, the Buffalo Trading and Beef Slough store in Elma. So be sure and ask for them next time coming up in September. And Jane started quilting in 1986 when Judy Florence had her first workshops here in Mondovi. And so you can see from all of her work here that her passion has really grown, and she has a beautiful body of work. And Jane, tell us about your hobby. Let's give her a big hand.
Well, there's somebody here who really got me to go, and that was Teresa Saxon. She saw me downtown and said, would you like to go on for quilting? And I knew my daughter-in-law had these blocks. And I thought, well, I'll go along with her to this class, and then I'll make this. Well, it's a Tudor rose, and it's made for my daughter-in-law, Sherry, Lane, and Noll. And every stitch in here, Judy Florence was one who we had to do by hand. We didn't do any machine quilting. And this, of course, this is the lady who made the blocks. And it is an interesting way to, for your grandma or somebody. And she had done the quilt block, and they took the picture and had it made. And Marks have been using this for 20 years on their bed now.
Okay, you're going to have to talk so they can
Oh, yeah, over that one. Okay.
And I'll put pictures up for you.
Okay, fine. And this was done by Emma Wendland Harold, and she used to live in Mondovi. She retired up here. And she had made just the block. And so I got her granddaughter to put them together, and we quilted. And this one here is, I bought 24 basket blocks at a Christmas walk up here about 20 years ago. And the name of the lady was on, but I don't know who she was. But it was Mary Ward Poppy was the lady. And this one, these little things were on material that had started to deteriorate, and so I put them back on here on a new quilting and put arms on it, and my daughter-in-law, and that's Kathy, we gave it to Kathy's daughter. And this was when, these are Mabel Aqua wall hangings. And I saw this in Las Vegas in some ceiling, all this, and I thought, gee, that would be something to follow. You know, just to make the hankies go like this. And then this is about what it says here. Years ago, the idea of quilting was to use up your old material. It was our ancestors being frugal. It was their way of life. And this one here was in 1908, and that was Catherine Rambut had made this. And when I washed it and hung it on the wash line, just the blocks, they weren't completed. And I was down by the barn and I looked up. I just couldn't believe how the blocks fit. And I assume they're all from, you see the dark colors, it would be mostly shirts and aprons. And my aunt had made, I think it was probably called a postage stamp. Every one of these had in every corner, it was a full-size quilt, was tied. And I unflipped them all and ended up with 5 bears. And this, but I know my knee all but gave out because I sat too long doing it, and I'm thinking you shouldn't do that. And this is just made for my grandson's graduation. Which way is it? Oh, this way. And that's just made out of all old ties. I don't think, and this is the one that was featured, Judy Florence, in her book called Linking the Past and Present. And as you notice, some of these are different. Well, they had sort of rotted away, but there was enough little extras in there, so then I just pieced them. And I think I got the material right over here at Ben Franklin. And this one too, Kathy's, well, she had, you know, people years ago would make blocks and just give them to each other, and then they probably had a few left over. And that's where this one, I misread it. I think it's something about paying Peter or Paul too, but this is the name I have for it here. And these were just blocks that somebody just gave me, and they didn't, I don't know who made them, but what you can do is just put them together to make yourself or on a tabletop or something. And this I bought at an antique store, and then somebody made me the frame from our barn, and that's the original paint. But you can see you can do a lot if you just go in an antique store and see a block. And this was supposed to be done for Orland Grummers. I think you probably see he writes, he's a mail carrier now, and he writes articles for the Winona paper. Well, this was supposed to be done for their wedding, and the grandma's eyesight got bad, but she had these done, and they were done on sugar sacks. And so I stabilized them with muslin. The biggest problem was getting them even, you know, so you got them square, because the sugar sacks weren't just that square.
And then that was for their 25th
Yeah,
anniversary.
and I did it for their 25th anniversary. And then these are memorabilia hangings. This is Kathy's husband, who owned this one. And you can tell he loves horses. You know,
It was their artwork from when they
Artwork
were in
in first
school
and
that she had
second grade.
saved, and then had them copied at a
copycats in Eau Claire.
and put it on the wall hangings.
And I know there was a fabric store just down from Copycats, and they told you to go there and get this kind of fabric. And then this is Mark. Of course, you can tell what way that we live on a farm. You know, he's got somebody there, and this is his family. So it's, and then this is Elizabeth Newsom. She now works for the Mayo Hospice. And, but it's kind of, and this, of course, is quite an interesting too. This is from Kathy's, would be your,
I think it's my great-great-grandma.
yeah, she made this in 1980, but she has 1910 here. And I took it all apart. She had it quilted, you know, I mean, tied. And she was German, and she didn't realize on some of them that she had the words upside down. So I took them and straightened them out. But she's got Clyde, the name, and then she's got his Clyde and Prince with his horse, I believe. And then she has from Grandma. But I don't know, but when you think she even, a lot of these are pieced. You know, when you have to piece something this small, but she did. And then this was, she made this is from a piece of her quilt that she made too. But look at the fancy stitching that she did. And I always was one who was never too fond of the log cabin block until I made this one. But this was a fast way of doing it. And it just all sort of falls together. This is done with the machine. But this was left over. So all you know, you can do so many things with just a quilt block. You know, I just take it, you know, and frame it. And this Kathy's grandma, she had all these dresses on a pile. She said they were to be used for lattice work, for these blocks. And that was a problem, to use all the blocks she had and to use all the material, all the dresses. You know, to get it to work out. See, it's more of a challenge that way than just to take a book into the fabric store and say, well, here's a quilt I want to make. And Judy Florence seems to pound that into her head, you don't do that. You know, you use your own ideas. And this is from our youngest daughter. This is from all the scraps of fabric that she had from her 4-H sewing. And then she went with this one and that to state and that even to national. But it's something you can do with material that the kids can keep it. And this one, we call those signature blocks. These are Kathy's children. Well, that's the boy, Scott, and Angela. Well, you see there's a kind of a flaw, a mistake here. Well, she has one arm that's shorter than the other, and it just works out right. And Carmen was our lively one. And Erin was, well, she was just more subdued. But Judy is the one who gave me the idea. You've got those 4 blocks. You just make signature blocks with them. And this, of course, now is the first granddaughter I had. So you tell all the dresses I made for her.
They're all scraps from the dresses that she had made from her. And this is the first granddaughter. Wait till you get to the last granddaughter.
This is the middle one. Well, I have other. Well,
There's some others in between.
Yeah. And so then here comes poor Erin. She doesn't have too many. And I still got a little one 5 years old, so I don't know. So far, I haven't sewed her a dress yet. Her mother does so. But it's something from, and you know, it's surprising. After I did the first one, all the other little granddaughters went through all my scraps, and they got them all put into a package. That was supposed to be when they graduated. And as far as people say with quilting, I say if you want to quilt, take a quilting class. They'll get you started, and don't worry about colors. You can walk into any fabric store and you bring, well, say you bring something, they'll help you pick out the fabric. They're more than happy to do that.
You got that one of Ivan Neal's
Oh,
up there
yeah,
yet,
we've
too.
got this one back here. Yeah, this one, I'll just read it. This was in 1997. We featured this at our quilt show. It says, "Old tops are new quilts for Ivaneel Icom Tearing Alma, owner of these 10 queen-size quilts, 1 twin, and a baby quilt. The quilt tops were pieced by her great-grandmother, Anna Marie Miller Hope, who was born September 16, 1838 in Germany. She died September 2nd, 1924 in Alma. Her husband Andrew farmed near the village of Harold, and both are buried in the Harold Cemetery. Following her death, the quilt tops were given to her daughter Christina Hope Icom. The next 72 years, they were stored in a trunk on the Thomas Tearing farm in Yons Valley. And then all the quilts were completed by me, and they were hand quilted by Florence Ernie of Buffalo City. If anybody's came to the Elma Quilt Show, you've seen that name a lot, because Florence Ernie does an awful lot of quilting. And then Gladys Harold and her daughters helped us pin them. But to think that 72 years in a trunk, and the one was actually, you know, we had them all lined up, was prettier than the other. And what she did, which I know most quilters almost cringe, she stuck them in the washing machine with the tops, but she did use, I think, what would you call it? Woolite. You know, now they advise you to send them to a dry cleaner, but I don't know, I haven't had good luck with the dry cleaners. If you just get this special soap that you can buy and just put them in your bathtub, and, you know, or run them real slow. But, no, and here too, I'm sure most of these, she didn't go out and buy any material. They didn't do that, they just used what they had. And, well, I don't know, I am fascinated on, there's a lot more I have done on finishing something that somebody else started. And they usually came in just little boxes.
Just give her one.
You know, and to see what you can do, and I think this is, yeah. And one other thing, Julie Quartz was one on, was we always had our quilts backed in muslin. In fact, we bought it from her for, you know, she'd have it on a roll. But I've used any material that you have too. And I think this one from Buffalo County is very interesting too. Now this is just one thing that I guess I got that from her. She never liked this edging, it wears out too easy. You know, if you're using it all the time. And so I've never used that, you know. But it's very attractive on here. But, no, there is something to, and it's surprising what people are paying for old quilts that I've restored. You didn't pay that much, but they do. An awful lot of money for it. Well, that's, unless anybody has any questions.
What do you recommend, Jane, for storage of some of these
Always
fabrics?
put them in an old pillowcase, never in plastic. And then take them out once a year or so, or shake them or do something. Otherwise, you know, they become,
Well, do you fold them or roll them, or?
well, you can roll them, I fold them. But if you take them out in a year or two, or that they get out. But now my wall hangings, I do have on a roll. But now Kathy and I, the last 2 years, we got into some thimbleberries, and we've had a lot of material from thimbleberries left over. But there you get the pattern, and they tell you what to do. There is nothing that you yourself have to figure out. It's all done for you. And it's fast. It's all with, you know, you cut an 1.5-inch strip and do it. They're fun too, but there's something to the way these older people, but you think about them, and you wonder, you know, why did they do this or that? You know, and you wonder, well, gee, did they ever think this would ever get finished?
Candy brought a quilt tonight, and she was wondering if you could help her date it. Maybe she could ask about that.
Well, I don't know how they really, a quilt, probably Osseo could date it pretty good for you. I mean, they seem to.
That, you know, Candy's a treasure.
The dark serge one back there against the wall, just by the nature of the material, does that put a date on it?
They, I think, could pretty well, you know. And another thing, if you've noticed on a lot of these, they're like this one. This tells, you know, that in print when it was. It's Sherry Lehman Noll in 1960. Oh.
They're nice. I liked the colors so much, I put it on my bed for many years, and that was a huge mistake. You can't use them.
Well, there is, have you seen, I've seen it over at flea market in Wabasha. They have a sort of a, it's about like this, and it's glass, and then the top opens, and then you can, it's like you have a quilt rack with glass over it. And they were about $125, which would be worth it if you have a quilt that you want to keep from deteriorating.
Jane does that too on a lot of, you know, I've been very fortunate to have a mother-in-law that restores. I've got into quilting, but I don't do the restoring, I start from the new. But a lot of my wall hangings, she'll have a piece on the back that has the date she did it and approximate date and who this box came from. So someday my children or my grandchildren will still be able to see who, you know, because like this, it's a shame not to know, you know, you don't know even who made it, or you do?
I don't know, I know which branch of the family it came from, but I don't know how far back.
But, you know, so even when you do new quilts, it's a good idea to put a little square on the back saying when you did it and who did it. So,
I guess, looking at this, if you love it like that, you just open this up, get rid of this wool, and then, well, this is a little worn, but you put, and, you know, take all these off, and put yourself a new back on, and if not anything else, just order, you know, binding around.
no,
But
you
I-
put it back.
Yeah,
Take
you would
the
have
wool
to
out.
take the wool out and put,
So is that, the wool, it doesn't have anything to do with the preservation and value of the field?
they don't use wool that much.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
like for antique value, if you,
This has to be old. When you look at the backing of this, see, you know, they wanted it for warmth.
oh, it's worn. 2 layers of wool, it's laying on.
And I see here where, you know, she had. But if you really, you know, need something, but see, here's some, but all you can do, I guess, is try to manage that. But if it's only this one roll, there's always a way to do it.
But you wouldn't
Just get these all off. So you can,
do that, the yarn ties are a redo.
you could, you know, redo
So Red's must be somewhere already redid it.
Everybody tells me that's serious. It's fun. It's a fun value. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
I don't know.
The history of that one.
So if it means something to you, would you rather pass it on to somebody in your family than, I mean, what value is it to somebody else? I always think, to me, it's your value is for yourself, you know?
I was quite fortunate. I redid one for my husband's niece in New York City. And after I had it done, I said, gee, I'm gonna have to hand deliver this thing. So my daughter and I got to go to New York City and I hand delivered it. And she had bought it. And, but it was a lot of work, but it was one way that I got to New York City. If I wouldn't have done that, I probably would never have
Should be a
done
good
it.
place to start, once they picked out the pictures they wanted on there.
I know Grandma Noll had some too, and I'm a quilter, but I didn't end up with any of these quilts. But I did restore them and do that. You know, you'll see if the butterflies or something, they're sort of worn, but I think it's something, a material close to it. You just have to learn to baste, and then sew it in. Crazy quilts are about the most that you have to restore, because they usually have some satin in there, 1 or 2, that's gonna wear out for you, and then you'll have to replace that part of it. I don't know, like, if the Amish are very interested in restoring the quilt. They do beautiful stitches know if you can take them there and say, I want this restored.
There's a lot of nice pictures, old pictures on that one quilt there. How are they?
Kelly did, you did that one, didn't you?
No, Lori Cloutier. Well, I made the pictures for them. Those pictures are all out of Mary Ann's book, The Pictorial History of Buffalo County. That was done by the Buffalo County Outreach, which is a group that raises money for like battered women, sexual abuse, spousal abuse, all that kind of thing. And they have an auction every year. So they did this quilt as one of the items to be auctioned off. And they came to us asking if we could do something with them. And so they had kind of come up with this idea, and we had talked about it at one time too. So we just scanned all the pictures we had that they wanted. We basically gave them the book and said, here, pick out pictures. We scanned them and gave them the pictures, and then I believe she actually did iron-ons with those, which would, I don't know how long that'll last. I know iron-ons don't always last as long. I know she had asked about the place up in Eau Claire, but they couldn't find it or something at the time. I don't know if it's not in business anymore or not, but.
Well, they were in a mall. What mall were they in? Up at Highland Farmer Stores?
Highland Mall.
Okay.
Highland Mall, and then there was a
But now, like
fabric.
that quilt is a wall hanging, right, that you're using it for? The
I think it's
outreach one?
actually considered a queen-size quilt, so
Oh,
if I remember
mean,
correctly,
it's probably
but.
one you're not
Yeah,
most
well,
likely going to have on a
we won't
bed.
use it on a bed because
Right.
it's in our office now, but.
Yeah, so it probably won't get worn
Right.
like if you were going to
Right.
have it on a bed.
Shelby, are those yours, I think?
Yeah.
Just kind of show those, it seems like this orange, that dates it, don't you think?
That's what Florence Ernie did the quilting. My aunt and my grandma actually did the quilt, what do you call it, the tops. And they laid in trunks for years and years. And, but she dated the material to the 40s,
Is your grandma,
early 40s, yeah.
she would have been able to do that yet. And like here, things don't have to be perfect. You know, like these nowadays they seem they should be. See, it doesn't quite match. But if it's something that somebody did, you don't care whether it, comes perfect or not. But those definitely are. They could be feet sacks, couldn't they?
Feed sacks probably.
Don't you think? Or, yeah.
I would think feed sacks more than flour sacks.
Because, what did it take years ago? Three flour feet sacks to make the dress? There must be somebody who remembers that. But you have three and you go and you pick and you fill them in, I'll be sure you get three of the same.